What's up, YouTubers? My name is Charles Thiel, and this video we're going to talk about my first car accident and basically what you shouldn't do after you get into one yourself. Now, this story might be pretty obvious to most experienced drivers, but at the time for me, I was 18 years old, so still pretty new to the whole driving thing. Partially, I have to blame my parents for the way it went down because we never actually sat down and talked about what to do in an actual car accident. But at the same time, I definitely reacted and let the heat of the moment get the best of me. Before my accident, I had 2 years without any problems, no wrecks, no tickets, so I guess you could say I was pretty confident. I definitely felt invincible, and I guess my parents thought I was pretty responsible too. Well, shit happens. I was still in my first car. I had a navy blue 2000 Jeep Wrangler with a lift kit. It was a manual, soft top, custom stereo sound system, just a great first car, and I really miss it to this day. So the day started pretty normal. At the time, I was taking my first college course at a local community college during the summer. Class started around 9 a.m. till about closer to noon. It's a great way to knock out those gen eds, and the class I was taking was public speaking. And this day in particular was a test day, or in other words, a speech day. And for speech days, we were required to wear something nice, something business casual. Every speech was recorded for everyone, and it was for educational purposes. There was probably 20 or so people in the class. We literally had to give a speech, leave the room through this side door in the classroom to watch ourselves on this computer and see if there was anything we thought we could have improved on, and then come back in afterwards to see someone else give their speech. But it was weird because during the time of self-reflection, one of us watching the recording of ourselves in the other room would miss at least one person's speech. Now, on that particular day, it was pretty overcasty. I don't think it was raining when I got there, but after the class, it was starting to pour. It was kind of on and off when I was driving too. Now, the quickest way to get there and get back home was to take the highway. And for my car, that kind of sucked. Because on the highway, for some reason, my steering wheel was always loose. Trust me, in the past, I brought my Jeep into the auto shop multiple times, and for some reason, it just wasn't possible to tighten the steering wheel anymore. And especially any lifted car is going to ride a little shaky, but mine was extra shaky. So bad weather, wet roads. I remember jamming out to something from the 80s, and I remember it being pretty congested on the road. And definitely not much wiggle room for changing lanes. Now, this highway, I believe, had 4 or 5 lanes, so if there was an opening to get past some slower cars, I took it. So imagine looking at your left-hand side rear mirror and seeing a white semi, but it was actually just a white commercial truck. Smaller than a regular semi, but still a pretty big vehicle compared to my two-door Jeep. Now, this guy was easily 3 or 4 cars back, and I remember looking back, looking straight ahead again, contemplating whether or not I wanted to change lanes. Now, this is all happening in a matter of seconds. So I decided to change lanes to my left, and I immediately noticed this truck was speeding past me on my left-hand side. We were so close, it got darker in my car because of his casted shadow, and this truck just towered over me. Next thing you know, I felt the hard scrape against my car, and my mirror was completely taken off. And at the same time, I heard a pop, and then the sound of loose rubber slamming against the pavement over and over at 70 miles an hour, which was actually the fastest my car could go. During this whole thing, I just gripped my steering wheel for dear life. Looking back now, I could have easily spun out of control and gotten into a much more dangerous situation. Thank God she was still drivable and I was still going. So this truck was way ahead, out of sight, because I wasn't paying attention to that. I was just scared shitless. This had never happened to me before. I thought I was the best driver on the road, A clean record, no tickets, no nothing. Now, whenever you get into an accident, you're supposed to pull over immediately, call the cops, exchange information with the other driver, but I couldn't see him, so I just kept driving. Keep in mind, I'm still in the second fastest lane on the highway, driving probably 40 miles an hour because of my flat tire. So cars were bolting past me on both sides. I didn't know what the hell I was doing or how to react in that kind of situation. I probably drove 5 to 10 miles like that. I even got off the highway to merge onto another highway So I can't imagine what the other drivers were thinking. You don't see a car driving down the highway with a flat tire too often. But I was still going. Now, finally, I got off the highway and pulled into this tall business building's parking lot. So I stopped, I got out of the car to see the damage and took some pictures. And during this whole time, I was just trying to calm down. I remember trying to reach my dad, the more experienced driver in the house, but I couldn't reach him for some reason. Called my mom, she answered, told her what was up, and I was okay. Literally the first words out of my mouth were, "Mom, I'm fine. I'm okay. I've been in an accident." You would think she would have said, "Stay there. Don't do anything. Call a tow truck." But she went along with my idea, which was driving the couple miles to the auto shop by our house. Bad idea. Big mistake. And the reason why I had that idea was because I was worried about the tow truck fee. Little did I know it would have actually been less than $50. So I had already done the damage of not pulling over immediately. My alignment was definitely trashed. But regardless, I got back into the car and hobbled away. Anyways, I'm driving down this one lane road trying to get to the auto shop. The driving capability at this point is now getting worse. The car was literally shaking up and down because of the messed up wheel. Eventually, I got to this intersection where there was some road work going on. Fortunately, nobody was working at the time, but there was this white scattered rock on the side of the road where the work was being done, and immediately the rubber tire completely came off, and the rim itself was scraping against the pavement. Sparks are flying. Now I pull over because she's not drivable anymore. I was probably there waiting for 10 to 15 minutes before my mom came and picked me up. So I grabbed my insurance and my car was eventually towed later that day. Now I got home and I was still kind of in shock. I couldn't believe what happened. It just dawned on me that I needed to file a police report for a hit and run because I didn't know where that truck went. So I got back into the car, my mom's car. My mom took me to the police station and I started filling out paperwork. As I'm doing this, a cop behind the secretary asked me what car I drove. He was tall, average build, probably mid 40s, mustache, going bald, the typical movie cop look. And I was like, "Jeep Wrangler?" He goes, "What color?" I said, "Navy blue." Now he asked me if I was the Navy Jeep with the chrome plating on the back. And I said, "Yes, that's me." If it wasn't for that feature on my car, who knows what would have happened or how they would have found out. Turns out the guy driving the truck did actually pull over way up ahead, over past where I got off. Apparently, a cop car was trying to find me the whole time, and they thought there was no way my car was drivable. Oh boy, were they wrong. So here I am, trying to file a hit and run on me, while this other guy is trying to do the same damn thing to me. After that, he gave me a little sit-down talk about what to do in these kinds of situations. But I still needed to talk with the officer who spoke with the other driver at the scene. Long story short, a day later, I had to meet with the officer who came to the scene, and we had to meet out in public early in the morning because he needed to get my side of the story ASAP. But he was also on duty. So the car needed some work, a lot of work. It wasn't cheap to fix the alignment, but I needed new tires anyways. I also needed to order a special type of mirror, and I didn't drive my Jeep for about a couple weeks. Now, the insurance process was a complete mess. I actually was in a wreck with a company truck, so that's even worse. Now, the way this stuff works is if the insurance companies can't figure out who's at fault, it takes a little longer and the two separate insurance companies will duke it out. Fortunately, I didn't have to pay for his damages, or I think his step leading up to his cab was busted and something about his gas tank, but I was still responsible for my own damages. So that's how that went down. Pretty crazy stuff. Hopefully, you already know, don't do what I did. Pull over immediately in any accident. Don't drive on a flat tire, let alone the actual wheel itself. Always be a defensive driver and don't drive too aggressive. And always, of course, drive safe. So I hope you guys enjoyed the story and found it beneficial. Leave a comment down below and hit that like and subscribe button. And until next time, guys, peace.